Hey everyone, I'm Simon Metin. It's been a while now since I'm a boy Anorexic head on the BBC, and a lot has happened since then. I'm now 20 years old, fully cured from anorexia, and currently studying in the University of Cambridge to become a doctor. I'm in my third year of medicine, and I'm due to graduate in 2016, so it's very exciting. Ever since the documentary aired on the BBC, I've received a lot of messages on Facebook and YouTube from people suffering from anorexia and from, you know, their parents, all of whom ask for advice. And I've realised that I've been giving the same advice over and over again. And as a result of this, I decided to make a YouTube video so that I could vent this advice to anyone who cares to watch it if it ever gets watched. Before I start this video, I just wanted to say that, I'm going to talk about what I've been saying to other people before, but if you've got any other questions, please leave it on the comment box below, and I will make sure to have a look at it and try to make subsequent videos from it so that I can answer these questions on YouTube for everyone to see. Of course, I will send you a message afterwards, straight away, but just so everyone gets the benefit of it. Alright then, let's start. So, what helped me? A major thing that helped me was the support of my friends and family. This may seem quite obvious to those of whom who are looking on the outside in, but to me, the support of my friends and family was invaluable to my treatment. If ever I slipped up, I knew that they'd be there to pick me up. And knowing that I had this safety net was so important for me. And the advice I'd like to give to you is, in order to have this safety net, you need to be able to establish transparency with your friends and your family. I made sure that I told them what was going on inside my head, what I was thinking of doing, what I'd already done. And what this meant was that my parents could make sense of, this disease. Anorexia is a very exaggerated disorder, and it wouldn't make sense to you unless you yourself are suffering from it. It's very difficult to try and explain, I could make countless videos on this, but what you have to know is that anorexia is something that, you can't understand. It's very irrational. So try and make sure that you let other people know what's going on, because they can't tell. They won't know. They won't know at all. So, that's the first thing. Try and make sure that you keep this transparency with your family and your friends, because you'll realise in the future that what they've done for you is, next to superhero level. Right. The next thing. This is a thing that personally helped me. I don't know if it's helped other people because it's so weird to think of, but it's to seek a goal. People say that anorexia is a disease where people try and take control of food because they lack control in all other aspects of their life, or at least they think they do. And, before, when I was suffering from anorexia, everything was going out of control. I was being bullied at school, things weren't going well financially in my family. That a lot of things were happening that were just, circling out of control for me. And I found that the only thing that I could control was food. So, that's how it kind of started. And before I was anorexic, the goal for me was to become an actor. I'd always, aspired to become one. I'd love to read a script, I'd love to give a performance, to see the smile on the audience's face. But, acting is a very difficult nut to crack. And it pains me even to say it now that I know that I can never do it. It's a plain and simple fact. I can never do it. As much as I want to become an actor now, I know that I can never do it. So, the thing that helped me was to establish a new goal, a more realistic goal. And that goal was to become a doctor. I'd always been good at science. And when I was in Rhodes Farm, the inpatient clinic that I was being treated at, I realised how much I admired the carers, the nurses and the doctors. They were doing a wonderful job. And so I thought, you know what, yeah, I quite like this. I want to become a doctor. And, it's a very unique answer to the whole question in an interview, why do you want to become a doctor? It's not the generic, I want to become a doctor to help people. I wanted to become a doctor because of the personal experience that I'd had in my life. And so I worked towards it, and so I did my GCSEs. I got the best results in school. I did my A levels. I got 4 A stars. A levels, if you're watching in America, is the equivalent to high school. And then I got into the University of Cambridge, and I found that these individual increments were so important to my treatment, and I hadn't even realised it. You know, by the time I got into Cambridge, if I felt hungry, I'd go to the fridge, and I wouldn't even think twice about it. And I'd sit down and think, oh, a minute, what's going on here? I'm eating because I'm hungry, not because I feel that I need to survive. It was a very odd experience, but I found that things were going well in my life. I was in control of things that were meaningful, that were important, not food. And so, think of something you're good at. Think of something you enjoy. Think of something that's realistic that you can achieve in the future. And trust me, if you work at it, you will achieve it. Try it. Okay, the next thing is a much more medical thing, and it's to communicate with your therapist. When I was in treatment for anorexia, I had 3 individual types of therapy. I had individual therapy, I had family therapy, and I had group therapy. Let's start with the last thing, group therapy. Group therapy is where you get into a room with a lot of anorexics and your therapist. It's much like Alcoholics Anonymous, but rather than consuming a lot of stuff, we weren't consuming enough. Not alcohol, but you know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, so we found that being able to talk about ideas, being able to think about things in a new light from another individual's perspective, it was very important. And the therapist would then contribute and say, you know, this isn't normal. This is a very good way of thinking about this. And it was very helpful. Family therapy, as I said before, my family were invaluable to my treatment. And if you can organise this family therapy, you'll realise that in addition to sorting out your issues with food in your head, you'll also work through a lot of family issues that have probably contributed to your eating disorder. Anorexia is a multifactorial disorder, and family issues were a big part of mine. Individual therapy, you're talking to a therapist one on one. You can't get much more exclusive than that. And let them know what's going on inside your head. They've got a degree in this stuff. They know exactly what's going on inside your head. They just want to hear it from you so that you have admitted it and so that you can work towards some sort of next step in your treatment. And, they are very good at what they do. Just trust them, talk to them, and you'll learn something. Okay, so, this part is the first part of the video that I wanted to do. The second part is more for the parents and, for the relatives who have a relative that has an eating disorder. The first thing I wanted to say to you was look for the signs. I was very good at hiding food, and being a boy with anorexia, it's very rare. And as a result, people thought, what's wrong? So something physical is wrong with him. People thought I had cancer. People thought, I may have had hypothyroidism. It was very odd. And then when they realised, 1 minute, my parents just stood and looked for a second and realised that I was hiding food, that I wasn't eating my food, that I would move food around my plate to make it look like I'd eaten it. And they thought, is this anorexia? I didn't know what anorexia was before I was diagnosed with it, but lo and behold, it was anorexia. So yeah, look for the signs. They may not be obvious at first, but if you not spy on your children, but have them in your best interest, and you'll realise it. It's hidden in plain sight. The next thing I wanted to say is research the disease. As I said before, it's an exaggerated disorder. You will never understand what's going on inside their head because you haven't got these issues. research the disease. I don't know, buy a book, read about it. You know, I'm doing medicine. I'm beginning to understand that it's a neurological disorder. You wouldn't look at a person with Parkinson's disease. You wouldn't look at a person with Alzheimer's, with Huntington's disease, and say, stop it. Stop the career movement. No, they can't do it. The same goes for anorexics. They can't stop what they're doing, but they can be cured from it if you know what's going on and direct them towards the treatment. So yeah, research it. The next thing is quite obvious, but a lot of people realise that, when their child is anorexic, they become a lot more distant. Be there for your child. That's all I can say. Be there for them. They need you. I needed my parents, but I didn't want to let them know that. I was drifting further and further away from them until I realised that we were just on opposite ends of the continent. Be there for them. Let them know that you're there for them, and they will be able to establish this transparency that I was talking to you about earlier. It's so important. So, so important. The next thing is to compare what your child is like now to how they used to be. As a parent, you will see your child on a daily basis. You won't see this gradual change. It may not be entirely obvious until you actually compare to what they were like a few years ago. You think, oh no, they, they'd go to the fridge, they'd eat food. Right now, they're contemplating eating orange. What the hell is going on here? I remember putting an orange on the table and thinking, I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you. No, I'm not going to eat you. And I just walk off. It was odd, but just think about it, and you might be able to realise actually something's going on here. Something pathological is going on here. The last thing is to be. I know if the patients have carried on watching this video, they won't like what I'm about to say, but be forceful with your child. Don't don't give them a slap around the face. Don't be physical, but let them know that you're in control. Anorexia is a disease about control. If you tell them that you're in control of their food, which is what's going to happen anyway if they get taken to an inpatient unit, they might feel a bit more at ease with you. Don't be overly forceful. They're already having issues with control. Don't be overly forceful, but let them know that you can take this control and you can make other aspects of their life a lot easier. Aspects of their life that they thought were out of control, but were, just a bit wrong. So yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to say. So yeah, that's the end of my video. It's New Year's Eve right now. If you can, I don't know, I can hear the fireworks now. It's 2013 now. Happy New Year. So yeah, if you've got any questions, comment on the thing below, and I will make sure to get back to you. Other than that, have a good New Year, and I hope 2013 is good for you. I really mean it. Thank you.